welcome to episode 38 of Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. Happy, cheerful holidays in the season, folks, because, well, we're going for the month of December with all the happiness, cheerfulness, and joy that comes with everything in the holidays. Including when the Donner Party of Pro Wrestling decides to bring us more unpleasantries and things we need to talk about this week.
2017 has been a pretty bad year overall with numerous scandals and all that in politics. And, you know, it sucks when your escapism just gets thrashed when shit like this happens, doesn't it, Fizz?
Mm-hmm. Although, in all honesty, I do want to make a minor correction. My 2017's actually been okay this year.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you've had a good 2017. I've been facing existential dread at
every possible turn.
What the hell? Oh, holy shit. I forgot to mute the YouTube link. Holy crap, what the hell's going on? Sorry, everybody. I've been a bit busy today, and I'm just out of it. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with me?
Oh, my goodness.
Let's just, close all this out. We'll come back, and we'll restart the whole thing.
Well, if you need to do any technical stuff here, let me mute your microphone for a second, because we're about to head off into the Rich Swan segment. Oh, there we go. Okay, Sal's microphone is temporarily muted while he sorts out his technical issues. He can text me on the thing here in the chat to let him know that everything's okay. And yeah, folks, last week we had to cover the unpleasantness that is the Michael Elgin situation. This week, Richard Swann decided to be a total idiot in the Grand Soviet Socialist Republic of Gainesville, Russia, aka Gainesville, Florida, folks. Why do I call it the Grand Soviet Socialist Republic of Gainesville, Russia? That's because Lana was born there.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. See, I remember you saying last week how you trusted WWE a bit more because they didn't have any more as much scandals as the Indies did.
Mm-hmm.
They took that as a challenge, Fizz. They took that as a challenge.
And they responded accordingly because the guy's permanently suspended at this point because of the fact that it's an ongoing legal investigation and you cannot fire anybody while there's an ongoing legal investigation going on. And so the story of this case is back on, I believe it was, what, December 8th?
Something like that. Yes, that sounds about right.
Yes.
Richard Swann decided to be a fucking idiot and beat his wife.
Mm-hmm. Now, the background of this. His wife is also a professional wrestler, Su Yung. She had a professional wrestling booking in Gainesville on the day of this incident for Feast Wrestling. She had worked an intergender match on that card. After the match was done, the individuals got into their car and began to have an argument. Now, both individuals were said during the police reports to have been drinking. What happened is that there ended up to be an argument between the two of them, which led to a fight, which then led to the Su Yung trying to get out of the car and Rich Swann trying to restrain her from escaping the vehicle. The cops then got involved after multiple witnesses called the police in the parking lot. And Rich Swann got arrested in the one county in Florida that you do not want to get arrested for domestic violence for.
Yep. I will say it's a good thing Rich Swann got arrested. I mean, I know sometimes, cops will turn a blind eye to shit like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't want to say it's like a good thing anyone got arrested because, you know what I meant. Like, if he's going to do this shit, it's a good thing someone arrested him and he didn't get off scot-free.
Oh, no. I mean, it's a public incident at a public, I believe it was in a location that was very well known to the police. There probably have thousands of stakeout cars out there because there's a wrestling event going on. There's going to be partying. There's going to be drinking. And there's an arrest.
Yeah, there's an arrest. Now, as we said, I believe the charges were domestic violence and false imprisonment.
Mm-hmm. That would be him trying to imprison her in his car.
Yep. Which are both very, 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 very bad things to have on your record. And WWE's legal policy or contract policy, whatever, states that if you are arrested for this, you are indefinitely suspended. And if you are convicted from this, you are fired.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that is one good thing WWE has over the indies. It's that they have a very solid and codified
code of conduct policy that everybody abides to.
Yes. So that's one thing WWE has got over the indies.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that we've had some people, I don't think I saw anybody defending Swann. I hope I didn't see anybody defend Swann.
Well, there were people who were freaking out because of the fact that Swann is an African-American wrestler, and they were angry about the fact that the guy got arrested until it was revealed that, yes, there's a police document, it's legitimate, and this actually did happen. It's not a thing to keep your brother down, kids. It actually did. This incident did happen.
Oh, God. Fizzy, please don't say that again. Please don't say that again.
Mm-hmm.
Please never don't say keep our brother down again. I swear to God that we're gonna get shanked, man. We're gonna get hurt.
Dude, I lived in the East Side. I've lived in the East Side for so many years that it doesn't worry me in the very slightest. You know.
All right. I mean, because
that's what I saw out there on the worlds of the Twitter, and I understand why they're concerned, and I understand why they were panicking about this. But this was a legitimate incident. This did involve Su Yung and Rich Swann, and this is a domestic violence case.
Yes, yeah. No, I totally get why people were freaked out at first. I mean, when it first broke, before I knew all the info, I was like, "This sounds really like I don't know why he was arrested." I really hope it wasn't because there was like a racist cop or something, because we are very much going through a very tumultuous time with law enforcement relations between minority groups and police officers during this time.
Heck, one of our own guys, actually, Chris from Two Guys One Sport, originally thought that this was that case.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't blame him for that either. I mean, like, we've seen a lot of stuff. Hell, I saw in the news earlier today, police over in Grand Rapids held a girl who wasn't even a suspect. She was an African-American girl, 11 years old. They held her at gunpoint while they were chasing another suspect who happened to go through their home.
Mm-hmm.
That's how fucked up cops and relations with ethnic minorities and minorities of any groups have gotten.
Well, civilians in general, basically, because
but more so towards people of color and minority groups. I mean, yes, there are still cops who will do like shitty things to everybody, and who, like with a gun, they wield this all important power, but it disproportionately affects minority groups. I'll say that.
I should put out a disclaimer here that my mother used to work in law enforcement. She worked in law enforcement from about, I believe it was 1986-87 to 1991. So, and she worked as a crisis interventionist, which means basically a person that drags crazy people out of their houses and puts them in a rubber room for 90 days.
Yeah, and look, no one here is going to say that all cops are bad and all that. No, I would argue that quite a lot of cops are actually very good people. It's just that starting in the 1990s, there were a lot of mass shooting incidents, and cops started adapting SWAT tactics into the main police forces. We're seeing that aggressive SWAT style clash with individuals who basically start yelling and screaming at the cops when the words, the right to remain silent, don't seem to be something that they want to do. Because if you start yelling and screaming at a cop, kids, that cop is going to not be particularly happy with you. Oh, yeah, I would argue, though, that we really turned this into a debate on police brutality and police interventionism in America. We're going to try and get off this topic soon enough, but I would argue that, yes, some people don't handle things right, but at the same time, I would say there are quite a few documented instances of cops abusing their power, and trust has eroded. We need to fix that. Although, before we get completely off the topic of law enforcement, the law enforcement situation in America being totally screwed up, let's talk about what's likely going to happen to Rich Swann. Rich Swann will likely get parole or something like that. He'll get a plea bargain. He won't see jail, even though most people in any other situation would. Bookers will give him a second chance because, they always do. They're like, we should always give them a second chance. That's all messed up. Let me just say this. Let me bring this up. Before we started talking, Fizzy, I mentioned to you an anime movie I'd seen yesterday, right before Friends at Two Guys in One Sport came on. Koe no Katachi, I believe it's the title. And that story was basically of a young man who in elementary school acted like an absolute dick and bullied a deaf girl. And the rest of the movie was about him going through a redemptive arc. and at one point actually saving that girl who we bullied from throwing herself off a ledge and trying to commit suicide, and instead he took the plunge and went into a coma. Actually, a very good movie. I'd highly recommend it to anyone who has any passing interest in anime whatsoever. Find a stream of it, find some way to watch it. The reason I bring this up is because I want to ask the question, or I want to bring this up. I will never say people cannot redeem themselves from their past wrongs. Mm-hmm. However, we need to see them put in the effort before we allow themselves to redeem themselves. Mm-hmm. Because I don't want anyone giving Rich Swann a second chance, or Mike Elgin giving them a second chance, until I have seen they have put in the work to deserve that second chance. Mm-hmm. Because here's what I want to see. I want to see them go completely silent. I want to see them pretty much not for publicity, but I want to see them do it for the right reasons, and maybe go to domestic abuse shelters, donate money, donate their time, actually talk and learn about these issues. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If they do all of that, then I will hesitantly give them a second chance, but not anytime sooner. Mm-hmm. I won't deny the ability for people to change and repent and atone for their past sins. I won't deny that. Mm-hmm. But I will never, ever, ever, ever want to see anyone giving them a second chance until they do that. Mm-hmm. I likely don't think they will do that. I don't want anyone giving them a second chance.
Sure. But again, money, power, and the entourage culture of professional wrestling, which we talked about last week.
Oh, yeah,
I know that you want this to happen, but the reality of the situation and what's actually going to happen are two different things.
Yeah. Will happen. Yeah, no. I know this won't happen. I know the minute Rich Swann gets released by WWE, some promotion is going to contact him and he's going to be on a card. Mm-hmm. That is a guarantee. And it's going to suck because it shouldn't happen. Mm-hmm. And the only, like I said, I won't deny that maybe he could change and maybe he could repent for all his sins. Mm-hmm. That possibility. I'd like to think we all might be able to repent for our sins. I'd like to think that. I mean, some sins might be too big to repent from, but then again, I don't know. This is turning into a really metaphysical topic. I know. I'm sorry, guys. We'll get back to regular wrestling soon, I promise. But you know what I mean? I just don't want to see this happen until he's repented, and I don't feel like. Mm-hmm. I feel like the entourage culture won't give him the incentive to repent. Mm-hmm. If that makes any sense.
Here, have more booze, beer, and women if there's an inevitable divorce that happens. This guy's only been married to Su Yung for a year, and this happens.
I don't think it's even been a year. I think it's only been 9 months.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, this whole situation is messed up, and our thoughts, well, not thoughts and prayers, but our sympathies and all this will go with Su Yung during this time. This cannot be easy for her. Mm-hmm.
And also, this isn't any good for anybody in this situation because it once again puts yet another dark cloud on the independent scene. And like I said earlier, I don't know if I'm a premonition of a psychic or something, but I said be very careful about the independent scene right now. Stuff might happen, and stuff has happened. You look at it from the perspective of fate and wanting this guy to have, to do the right things to earn that second chance.
Well, yeah, I don't want people to blindly give him a second chance. And like I said, I'd rather people never give him a second chance if he doesn't earn it. Mm-hmm. I'm not an idiot, okay? I get that, I'm not trying to deny or downplay his crime because his crime was fucking heinous. Never let it be said that anything I said is trying to take away from anything he did to Su Yung and anything he may have done to any other woman. No, this is not what I'm trying to do. And I think he should pay for his crimes. He should. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the jail time would be. I don't know how they would work, but I feel like he should get the same sentence anyone else would get. Mm-hmm. I feel like he should have to go through those harsh consequences and he should have to be judged based on his past actions. But at the same time, I feel like everyone should be given a chance to repent in terms of if they put forward the work. Mm-hmm. Only if they put forward the work.
Mm-hmm. So from my perspective, I look at this and I see, yeah, he might be able to get parole. Yeah, he might be able to get probation. Probably will get a 2-year probation. But he's also committed a crime in the state of Florida.
Yep.
Florida, for as bad as it is on a lot of things, actually has a very stringent laws involving domestic violence. A large amount of these laws were modified in the 1980s and 90s under the Florida State Attorney's Office. You might know her as the late Janet Reno.
Oh,
she was instrumental. The woman was instrumental in passing forth a ton of laws to help in the state of Florida, including introducing DNA testing into Florida courts for sex cases, sex offenders, sexual assaults, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the states that pioneered DNA testing. Florida, of all places. Grimy, crazy, cannibalistic Florida.
It honestly makes it kind of makes sense that they'd have really strong domestic violence laws in Florida, since I'd imagine Florida seems like the kind of place where you'd have a lot of them.
Yeah, because of the fact that the state is a little history about Florida, folks. Because I did live in Florida. I survived Hurricane Andrew. My dad lived in Florida for 10 years. The state has the highest ratio of sex offenders and violent crime offenders in the state, in any state.
Seriously, what the hell does Florida, how does Florida draw those people to it?
Because a lot of them are individuals who may or may not have proper documentation, and also people who bring their relatives in.
Oh, geez, we're just gonna move. I really don't want to. We're going to avoid this one, Fizzy. We're going to avoid this landmine. We've already touched on too many things. I feel like we're gonna be I seriously, Jesus. We're back to national wrestling soon, everybody. Please don't give up on us.
Well, yes. I mean, here's the thing. The one thing I want to see analyzed in both of the Elgin and the Swann cases in this situation is, what is their brain like at this point? Yeah. Most of you folks would know at this point over the last year, or so that you've listened to me, and for those who haven't, I'm a very big advocate of concussion protocol. Because of the fact that my mother kept me out of sports in the 1990s and 2000s. She kept me out of sports because she wasn't 100% sure that the coaches would be able to keep me from getting a concussion on any sport I went into. So, yeah. There's one particular film that I recommend anybody who's in the professional wrestling circles watch. It was a documentary done by Frontline a couple years ago called A League in Denial, the NFL's Concussion Crisis. That is a documentary that you, as any wrestling fan, need to go out and see, because the things that apply to football also apply to professional wrestling. We know that Michael Elgin has a documented case of numerous concussions as well as a skull fracture in 2016. That's why he started Glory Pro, was because of those injuries, which Swann started at an early age in wrestling, and so did Elgin. Elgin started at the age of 15 in Canada. Rich Swann started, I believe, around a similar age. He started wrestling in 2005. He's 26 now.
Yeah.
So he would be a teenager when he started professional wrestling, around 15, 16.
Yeah.
So the questions that we have to ask in the wrestling context of this: should individuals who are of this age, who are going through changes in their lives, physical changes in their lives, physical and mental changes in their lives, should they be doing youth wrestling or youth wrestling without protection for their head?
No, not at all. I will answer that right now for you. No. Anyone who's doing wrestling in their teenage years should have head protection. They should make sure, they're as safe as possible. I mean, like you said, yes. Although I'd honestly argue, you touched on it before, but I'd say the biggest reason why Swann does what he does is because of the sort of entourage culture in WWE, or in wrestling as a whole. Not a lot of people tell those wrestlers, no, you can't do that, or no, that's wrong. What the hell are you thinking? You know what I mean? I feel like that. I won't deny that concussions and possible CTA might play a part. But I'd honestly argue it's more down to the, like you said, the entourage culture. The
entourage culture, as well as the fact that George said something interesting on Two Guys, One Sport, that it didn't matter what kind of background you are, it still applies. I would argue a little bit to say you have to pay attention to what these individuals have done in the past, because anything that they've done to themselves or their brains in particular should be documented. We know That,
oh no, it should be documented, but
yeah.
I'd still say it should still apply. Like they don't get a pass just because their brain might be messed up.
Oh, certainly. This isn't me giving anybody a pass in the situation, but looking at how many concussions this guy has, as well as the fact there's another problem. Rich Swann, before he got into wrestling, had a cocaine addiction.
Yeah.
So we have cocaine addiction, and cocaine is a drug that messes people up something fierce. Okay. There have been so many experiences that my mother, when she did her work, there were so many people who, this was back in the 80s when the drug problem was at its absolute peak. People that you didn't even know were doing drugs, she says to me. And like 70s, surviving the 1970s and the 1980s, and my mother telling me all the stories of just, how surviving in that era as somebody who was drug-free. My mom's drug-free, my dad's drug-free, I'm drug-free. And it's a very odd thing to be living in an area where I've said it before, my city has had trouble with drugs in the past, and they're finally doing something to clean it up at least, because I keep seeing people who are my age in the obits. And I don't like seeing people my age in the obits, to be quite honest with you folks. And we have to consider that with Swann, because that messes you up something fierce in your head, as well as the concussions, as well as the fact that the guy's been wrestling since 2005. We'll let the due process do what the due process does in this situation with Rich Swann, and we can move forward from there. I mean, obviously, there's going to be some... These are two incidents that I feel that there's actually going to be a lot more repercussions than what people actually think is going to happen.
I don't really have faith in it. I mean, the only time one of any celebrity status in the American justice system gets punished for anything is when they kill somebody. That's really the only time. I mean, hell, we had that whole O.J. Simpson trial, and that was a huge mess. And then he got sentenced to that one thing for kidnapping, which was sort of like a makeup. Now he's out on parole. I mean, honestly, the only one that I feel like anyone ever got right was Aaron Hernandez. And that's because we eventually said, yeah, no, we're not giving celebs a pass for murdering anymore. But I mean, you see people like, what's her name? I can't think of her name. She drove drunk on an expired license and all that. Not Kelly Clarkson. What's her name?
One of the Kardashians?
No, not one of the Kardashians. Lindsay Lohan.
Oh, Lindsay Lohan.
I mean, she did that, and now, she's back with, like, literally nothing happening to her whatsoever. And, I mean, this was well past the point where Lindsay Lohan was ever famous for anything anymore, you know what I mean? I don't... I mean, again, I know we're getting way off the path of wrestling, but...
Oh, no, there's no worries, man. Like I said, it's Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling, and I feel like these topics are something that, it adds to the grand scheme of things.
I don't have faith in the American justice system to properly punish people of any celebratory note, mainly because, well, we haven't really, with the possible exception of Aaron Hernandez. That's like one out of hundreds, you know what I mean?
Well, they found out that the guy was a serial killer, okay?
I know, but it's one of those things where it's like anything less than that, the American justice system, oh, you're famous? Fine, we'll let you off. Just go out, do some public service. You're on probation for like a year or two. After that, you're fine. Just don't screw up. Hell, you can probably even break your probation, but we'll still let you be fine. Because we, for some reason in this country, decide to punish people who are just famous. Like, I don't give a damn how famous you are. You should not be above the law, and the law should not be different to you. It is. Call me an idealist, but it shouldn't be. But whatever. Let's get back into wrestling.
Clash of Christmas trees and chainsaws commences with Clash of Champions. After our Donner Party of Pro Wrestling segment, we now have a total of, what was it here? We have a total of 7 matches on this card currently announced, including 1 match for the pre-show and 6 main card matches. Should we begin with the pre-show match, which actually looks fairly interesting?
Yes, we should, because I saw the promo. One Mr. Mojo Rawley cut, hyping it up.
So, for those of you who've been living under a rock for the last few months and don't particularly care what SmackDown's been doing recently, well, Mojo Rawley finally had enough of Zack Ryder and decided to maul him.
Yes. Yes, he did. And like you said, the people who haven't had much interest in SmackDown have been living under a rock. Hey, guys, that's been me. Although I will say some of the stuff has been due to work and school. So that's my excuse. I will let you take it for what it is. I do not blame you if you don't accept it, but whatever. But yes, no, I did see the promo Mojo cut on Zach, and I have seen the clips of Zach getting destroyed by Mojo. Yeah, this is going to be fun. Mojo Rawley, he is a hell of a promo. Laying into Zach for going, and he pretty much said, how is Disneyland? You found that Killer Instinct? Did Mickey or Goofy give it to you? Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Dude is just great. I'm expecting Zach to get insta-murder death killed by Mojo.
Mm-hmm.
But
like I said, if Mojo doesn't run into the Powerpuff Girls, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah.
But like he's going against Zack Ryder, which is basically like going against the Gangrene Gang. Okay, he's got an easy shot at destroying them and then continuing on his path of world domination.
Yeah. What else we got?
Let's see here. On our list, we have Baron Corbin, Bobby Roode, Dolph Ziggler, Charlotte Flair versus Natalya, the Usos, New Day, Shelton Benjamin, Chad Gable versus Rusev Day, Randy Orton, Nakamura versus Owens and Zayn, Breeze Dango versus the Bludgeon Brothers. Let's start with that match, the number 7 match.
All right. I really haven't seen much of the Bludgeon Brothers. Like, I've seen the stuff of them in clips, and they were actually apparently somehow getting over in spite of this gimmick, which amazes me to no end and is a complete testament to Harper and Rowan and their abilities. Crap. Now I'm just calling them Harper and Rowan. Good job, WWE. You've got me to officially drop their first names. Is that what you wanted? Huh? Also, they're going to have to debut a guy with like all of the first names that got dropped off.
So Antonio, Luke Harper, Luke Langston,
Elias, Alexander, Elias, Luke, Eric. I feel like we're missing a few.
Eric.
Yeah, anyone in the chat knows who we're missing, just let us know. But yes. But yeah, you know, we need to get like all those names together and just debut a wrestler.
Alexander.
I said Alexander. Didn't I?
I don't know.
Someone replay that if you want to. I don't know. It's not that big of a deal. But anyway, yeah, we have Breezango against the Bludgeon Brothers. And I love myself some Breezango. I mean, I don't know why they don't want to be friends with the Ascension. That doesn't really make sense to me. You know,
the space vampires are something against their street cred.
Honestly, come on, they just want to be your friends, guys. You don't need to be dicks to them. Come on, they're not bad people. They were willing to die for you so you could get out of like that jigsaw shit. I mean, that's how you know they're true friends, when they're willing to die for you.
I mean, who set up that jigsaw thing, by the way?
I don't know. Was it the Bludgeon Brothers or was it? I don't know.
I mean, the only evil mastermind I currently see on the roster is Mojo, and he's too busy building a Death Ray, or Becky Lynch.
Becky's off busy filming crap with Miz and Shawn Michaels. Maybe Shane just hired someone to do it. I don't know.
Or maybe Undertaker's getting busy in his retirement and just decided, you know what, Michelle, I'm going to go build a death trap. I'll be back. I'm going to go pick up some fish too. Eat anything?
Yeah. She's like, oh yeah, go get some ground beef for the meatloaf. And he just
no. She's actually getting it herself. She's going out to the lake, wrestling an alligator, and getting some fresh alligator meat.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
For those of you who do not understand Michelle McCool, she is like the exact opposite of her character on What was her character on WWE TV? She's like the real life equivalent of Sarah Logan.
Yeah. But, you know. So, yeah, that match, I think it will be pretty fun. I mean, I love Breezango. They put in some good work. I like the Bludgeon Brothers. Well, I mean, I like them, you know, from what I've seen of them in the past when they're both part of the Wyatt family, especially like Luke Harper. So, you know.
I mean, look, if the Bludgeon Brothers turn Fandango and Tyler Breeze into pinatas, then I'm perfectly fine with this.
Why are you so against the Fashion Files?
I think Tyler Breeze is as bland as his pudding, and Fandango, I like him. And I like him in this tag team, but like I like Harper and Rowan more.
Okay, well, I mean, fine. It's just you can't just hope they don't. You can't just hope they just get the win. They had to get mauled, Fizzy. Come on now.
Well, I'm getting mauled like a pinata is the equivalent of that, Sal.
First you want to cut off Duke's mustache, and now this. What's gotten into you, man? Am I rubbing off on you?
'Tis the joyous season with a ton of snow in the backyard. I have 2 feet of snow outside, folks. I may be getting a little bit crazy with the cabin fever.
Oh, just steer into the existentialism. That's what I did. Works wonders.
No, I'm too positive for that. If you locked me in a room with somebody who has the whole existential nihilist thing, they would go crazy within like 5 seconds due to my optimism.
Oh, come on. You haven't broken me yet, man. Steering into the existential skid. It's been great. But yeah, don't worry. This is just exam season and snow talking. I'll probably be less existential in a couple weeks. Or maybe not, because we live under President Trump.
Oh, the turnip. Yeah. And of course, and also I still haven't been mauled yet because like last week when I did allegedly threaten to shave WOR Duke's mustache off, his mustache of power. Yeah. I still have not been mauled by wrestlers from the state of Virginia yet, although they're probably openly declaring war at this point.
Oh, he talked to me in DM about that. He asked what the hell you were thinking. That's what I told him. That's what I said. Seriously, Fizzy, what were you thinking? He wants to. Here, I can actually pull up the exact quote. Give me a minute. How dare Fizzy attempt to declare war on my mustache in all caps? Fizz, you best be careful because Duke is probably going to amass that army right now.
And of course, people often forget, as I said to Chris of 2 Guys 1 Sport, I have wrestle-proofed my house.
But have you Duke-proofed it, Fizzy? Have you
Of course I had. That was the very first thing I thought of. How do I do something against a man who can literally summon pizzas with his hot takes?
Oh, come on. Don't be mean on Duke. Come on. Duke is good people, Fizz.
Yes, he is definitely good people. It's just I also noted, man can summon pizzas with his mind.
Of course he can. He's Duke. I mean, that's one of the many powers his mustache gives him, and you want to get rid of it. Seriously, what are you thinking? Honestly. But yeah, it's this Fandango or Breezango Bludgeon Brothers match. I still don't get why they don't just call them the Fashion Police. I mean, Christ, what's up with portmanteaus of names? That's not a good team name idea, WWE.
They don't want to be attacked to death by fashionistas, and considering that the fashionistas have bolstered their ranks in the last few years with the appearance of Ginny, I don't think they want to get into that kind of brawl.
Come on, Ginny would be fine with that. Just have them sub-license the rights off them or something. But anyway, that's the first match. Moving up the card, we have Randy Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon are the special guest referees. And if Owens and Zayn lose, they will be fired from WWE.
And they buy WWE, all of WWE. They can't take refuge in Sami Zayn's little clubhouse over by Full Sail University. Although they will certainly try.
Yeah. Well, we all know that means Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are winning. I mean, let's just get that out of the way. I don't think either of their contracts are up soon. And this seems to, I mean, we all know this. I mean, that's one of the things that I get why they do it. It's just one of those things where it's it's always so hard to pull off a retirement or you're fired step in a match in wrestling because a lot of us know this is total bull crap. I mean, the story's been good though, so I'm not going to complain too much about it, but it's just one of those things. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I can freely admit maybe I am wrong. But yes, and there's been rumors that Daniel Bryan's going to turn heel and cost McMahon and Randy Orton and Nakamura the match and all that, which fine.
You can't see me past this picture, but I'm actually smiling in the background.
I'm sure you are. I honestly think this is a stupid idea. Mainly because who in the hell is going to boo Daniel Bryan?
I am.
Other than you, over Shane McMahon, the son of the billionaire owner, who, well, yes, is probably the most popular McMahon in terms of anyone maybe even remotely getting over against Daniel Bryan. He's maybe one of 3 or 4 people who could.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying he will because I highly doubt it, but could.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the other two, Randy Orton. I mean, Randy Orton, the dude never got all that great crowd reactions ever in his career. What are they thinking? And then you have Shinsuke Nakamura, who WWE has utterly murdered.
Mm-hmm.
On a quick side note with Nak, when I was on Twitter one day, I actually saw a picture of him. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Shinsuke Nakamura works for WWE. I had completely forgotten he even existed.
I sometimes often forgot that he existed in New Japan, to be fair.
I never forgot he existed in New Japan.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing. They have screwed up Shinsuke Nakamura so badly. It took a picture on Twitter to remind me of the fact that, yes, Shinsuke Nakamura physically exists.
Mm-hmm.
If that isn't a failure with your talent, then I don't know what is.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's that. The match itself, I think it'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have Kevin Owens and Shinsuke Nakamura in the same match. Kevin Owens never gives a shit, and Shinsuke Nakamura only gives a shit about half the time.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, Shinsuke Nakamura will give a shit.
Well, he gets the opportunity to once again kick Sami Zayn in the face, so there you go. Also, Randy somehow has managed to find a time machine and has turned back the clock 15 years in his growing hair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Randy Orton's in this match, too. He hardly ever gives a shit, too. Crap. The only one who might care at all is Sami Zayn.
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord, no. No. But the story itself has been fine. This match will either be pretty good or it will be utter crap.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have a very real possibility of it being the second.
I'm actually quite optimistic about this match, actually.
I'm jaded, man.
Of course you are, but you've been jaded and have jade for what? How long now?
Couple weeks at the very least.
Mm-hmm. So while Sal is off selling some jade statues, we'll go look into the backstory of this match. Shane McMahon and his glorious amount of money, in his failure of course, failing to jump off the roller coaster of WrestleMania, decided to try and conquer WWE Raw a couple months back with Survivor Series. He rallied his forces with massive amounts of bribery, including money, pizza, and a yak for Rusev.
Yeah.
But after all of those things failed in the earnest of trying to conquer Raw from his diabolical sister, it, didn't work out. Shane has been rather moody and angry as of late because of his failed conquest and trying to strike first, and has decided to go against the diabolical evils of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, who have now become a team against Shane McMahon and his authority, and also facing off against the deranged lawn gnome and Daniel Bryan. However, there's been conflict between Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan as of late. Shane wanted Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn fired because he's actually genre savvy for once and figured, we need to get rid of them now before they cause any more trouble to my reign of terror. And Daniel Bryan being not genre savvy and deciding to try and keep him on his roster and give them a series of challenges, which involved matches with Randy Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura. Shane McMahon attempted to guest referee one of these matches, and it ended up backfiring because Daniel Bryan then put on a referee shirt. So now we have two referees in this match, Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon. Daniel apparently still knows how to do a free count, which will inevitably lead to one or the other betraying each other in the fallout of this match. The story has been fairly solid, surprising considering the fact that Ward and Road Dogg have been on a severely bad lull this year compared to the earlier writings that they did for SmackDown. And even then I thought, this is too good to last. My pessimism started to go into overdrive and go, this is too good to last. Let's not get too overhyped about SmackDown doing well this time, and instead dial it back and wait and see what's going to happen. My pessimism, unfortunately, turned out to be rather correct on the money in this particular case. And as folks might know, I hate being right. I honestly hate being right at times because in this situation, now we have SmackDown attempting to once again rebound after the ratings issues that they've had throughout the year, and they have this Shane, Daniel, Sami, and Kevin Owens match. I think it will be okay. I think it will be a decent match. I think Randy and Shinsuke might surprise us with actually doing well as a team. And Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have been a team for years, so they know the ropes. And also we might have some unintentional comedy with like Shane tripping over the ropes or something, or Daniel going completely psycho.
I think your recap of the whole segment going into this was actually spot on. Although my one question would be, in your recap, you made everything very clear, and I would completely agree with all of it. Yet somehow Shane is the face in this feud.
Yes, he is. Of course he's the face in this feud.
He is the diabolical overlord who is wantonly imposing his will on the SmackDown roster. He is the authority.
Well, of course, because his roster failed in his attempted takeover of Raw. So, of course, he's going to be
put himself on his roster in the match against Raw. What the hell did he think would happen?
Shane has never been the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree, Sal.
Even more reason for him to not be running shit.
Who should be, though?
Daniel! He actually knows things. And he isn't a massive egomaniac, unlike every single McMahon ever.
Did you look at his heel run, Sal? I think massive egomaniac would be put in bright neon quotation marks over his head.
That's when he was a heel, when he was supposed to be that. Shane is a massive egomaniac, and he's ostensibly a face. There seems to be an issue in this. I mean, jeez, like, am I the only one who sees this? Am I wrong?
No, I see it too, but at the same time, it's a story that is going to work itself out. Either Shane is going to turn heel, or we're going to get the deranged law gnome returning to his proper alignment.
I'm fine with Daniel Bryan staying a face. I mean, like, at the end of the day, we all know Daniel's leaving soon. I have no idea when the hell his contract up, although it's allegedly soon. Hopefully, I sort of hope it's up like right before January 4th. That way, he like makes a surprise appearance at the Dome. That would just pop me so freaking hard.
So basically, you want him to run in on the match between. Oh, it depends entirely if they have an ROH championship match, because Cody's facing against Dalton Castle tonight.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Cody's going to win. I would imagine that. I wouldn't be against Daniel Bryan taking on Cody Rhodes, although I prefer Ibushi to win, mainly because I feel like Ibushi's had a really good 2017, and he hasn't really won a shiny thing to show for it.
Sure, but at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, is Daniel Bryan going to run into the Tokyo Dome show and maul Cody Rhodes to death?
That would be fine with me. Please, Daniel, come back and be the true king of the indies we need instead of Cody, Mr. 2.5 star. I can hardly cut a promo. How in the hell am I the son of my dad, Rhodes?
Yes, for those of you who have your bingo cards for how many times the WWE has made Sal insane during this broadcast, you might want to check a couple of those boxes.
Yeah. Although this time it's for ROH.
Okay, the ROH bingo things.
Yeah, get those ROH cards out, guys. I know they're a bit dusty because we don't usually talk about ROH because, I mean, really, what's there to talk about? I mean, look, as much crap as I'll give Cody, I will say this, at least he's a draw. How he's a draw or why he's a draw utterly mystifies me, but he's a draw. So, there you go.
So, next up on our list of matches, we have the Usos versus the New Day versus Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable and Rusev Day.
I've been down since day one-ish for this. Oh, man. The only thing, I mean, this is going to be a fun match. I mean, like I said a couple weeks ago with Two Guys, One Sport, in spite of all of the bullcrap WWE has been going through this year, their tag divisions have been surprisingly, like, solid and awesome. And the team leading the pack in all of this has been one Jimmy and Jay Uso, the Usos. And, I mean, they deserve all of the praise in the world. I will say nothing negative about them, and I will say only one thing that's slightly negative about this match, and it's not even about the match itself, it's more just like the truce between the Usos and the New Day, it didn't last too long. But even then, that's me just being completely unfair to WWE here. So you know what? Forget I said anything. There's nothing wrong with this match. This match is going to be amazing. I love pretty much everyone in this match. I mean, the Usos have been great. The New Day have been great. Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable have been pretty great from what I've seen of them. And I've seen the clips of Rusev and Aiden English, and my God, this is perfect for them.
Mm-hmm.
This match I'm looking forward to. This will be fun.
Mm-hmm. So Aiden English has formed an alliance with Rusev because Aiden English has become his ambassador / singer to the glories of Rusev Day. Rusev is still as much an egomaniac as ever, is proclaiming it every day is Rusev Day, which is an organized religion that is universally accepted by most people except for Chris of Two Guys One Sport, and I'm a little bit dubious on it as well.
Oh, come on!
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm accepting of most holidays, but Rusev Day, I'm like, when is exactly Rusev Day, or is it every day Rusev Day?
Every day is Rusev Day. It's the day we give glory and thanks to Rusev for not dying the night before.
Mm-hmm.
It's an existentialist holiday that celebrates the fact that we can die at any time. Hell, we could die tomorrow, so we should be thankful for the days we have.
Mm-hmm. Oh, goody. Sal's on his existentialism kick again.
I am. It's still exam season.
Next, you're going to be telling me that you're going to be eating your textbooks.
Oh, no, I won't be eating my textbooks. I need to sell them for some money online.
So we then have Shelton Benjamin, who is the replacement for Jason Jordan, who is stuck on the endless dune sea that is Monday Night Raw, and Chad Gable, who is the most lucky man in the face of the planet on this roster.
Yeah, I mean, I will say their tag team has been pretty fun, but, you know.
So then we have the New Day, which is needs no introduction. And then we have the tag team that has had the comeback of the year in the Usos.
Yep. I mean, just how great have they been this year, Fizz?
They've been fantastic. Every single match that they've been in has just been just this well-orchestrated, well-done, well-worked tag team match that just works on every level. And just their alignment is perfect. Them being heels...
Oh. I mean, even then, they've sort of, they're not really true heels anymore, I'd argue. I'd say they're more like, I wouldn't say they're faces. I guess they're kind of like tweeners in that they're cocky, they're a bit arrogant, but they know how good they are and they back it up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say they're like full-blown heels, but not really exactly full-blown good guys either. They're like in their perfect role for them.
Mm-hmm. And if you're baffled by Chad Gabe turning into a bad guy, look at his NXT work. He was actually previously a heel before he became sort of face with Jordan.
Well, even then, Jason Jordan and Chad Gable were heels originally. Although you really wouldn't know that from all the cheers they got, but they were faces or heels, excuse me. They were like they were kind of like what the Usos are now, like really cocky, like a bit arrogant, but they were good and they backed it up. So sort of like it's weird, you know what I mean? I don't know what I would call that alignment. I don't feel like tweener is the right word. It's more like they're just them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're them.
And they always need to be them because what they are is amazing.
So let's see here. I look forward to this match. This match will be on many people's list of match of the night. Although I do think that the triple threat match might be a bit of a surprise good match. And yes, it's a bit shocking considering the 3 participants in this match. Baron Von Corbin, super genius. Yeah. Bobby, I'm glorious and being mistaken for Arn Anderson, Rude. And Dolph, I still work here, Ziggler.
I still work here, Ziggler. That is perfect. Yeah. I mean... Like I said last week, I think, this is a match where if you were to ask me, hey, Sal, give me a list of 5 superstars who you do not care one iota about, these 3 would be in that top 5. Along with Jinder and who else would be in there? I know these are like 3 or 4 of my 5. I'd have to think a bit for my 5th, but that's pretty much my review of this match. I do not care for this match at all. There's like, I mean, Baron Corbin sucks. He can hardly cut a promo. He's not very good in ring. He's a skinny fat loser who John Cena utterly eviscerated, and why he has their secondary title is utterly beyond me. We have Bobby Roode, who is a penny store Ric Flair because he's a dime store Triple H, who himself is a dime store Ric Flair, therefore penny store Ric Flair. And then we have Dolph Ziggler, who still works here, despite the fact his ship has long since sailed, and I feel like it would be better for everyone if he just went on the independent scene.
Do you want to unleash that kind of terror on the independent scene?
I mean, we've already got Cody. We can't get much worse here, Fizz. And I'd say, I mean, Ziggler's about as bad as Cody, and in some cases might be a slight improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Although now that I think about it more, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe he should just go into stand-up.
I don't know. Or he'll show up in New Japan.
Don't you wish that upon New Japan? The only time we should be wishing Dolph Ziggler upon New Japan is if Minoru Suzuki is beating the ever-living shit out of him. That is the only time.
Well, Taguchi Japan is accepting members.
Don't you dare contaminate Taguchi Japan with Dolph Ziggler. What's gotten into you, Fizz? Are you trying to kill everything I know and love? Is my existentialism really hurting you that much? I'll stop being existentialist. Just don't contaminate Taguchi Japan with Dolph Ziggler.
That was the first staple I thought of. I didn't know that there were any other face staples in Japan. I just think sticking Dolph Ziggler with Juice Robinson. That works.
What did poor Juice do to deserve that horrible fate? He's actually really worked his ass off.
Do you want Ziggy or Sami Callahan to be his partner?
Fuck. Do I have to choose?
Yes.
Fuck.
Well, Sal makes the choices. I'm going to talk about this match here.
I'm just going to be thinking.
Okay. So basically, we have a match where Baron Corbin has to defend his title against Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler. Now, ordinarily, I would be very much in the category of, oh God, this match is happening. However, statistics play a favor into Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode's hands. Bobby Roode has been in a ton of triple threat matches before in his time with the Donner Party of professional wrestling that was TNA, Impact, GFW, whatever we're calling it this week. So then we have also Dolph Ziggler, who's also been in a number of triple threat matches. These guys will do fairly decently in this match. It's the X factor that I'm wondering about, Baron Corbin. But if they have him just do his basic spots, I think that the match will be okay at best. Maybe on par with the Fatal 4-Way, depending on how the Fatal 4-Way goes, because there's a lot of question marks into that match as well. How will Rusev and Aiden English mix and match in the match? How will Chad Gabe and Shelton Benjamin do against the New Day and the Usos? There's a lot of questions about the Fatal 4-Way and the Triple Threat match that we just really don't know about. But I've got high expectations for both of these matches, or at least realistic expectations, knowing me.
I have high expectations for the Usos for the tag team match 4-way, mainly because I've seen Benjamin and Gable and like again clips and stuff, and they've looked pretty solid as a team together. So I think they'll hold themselves well. You're right about Rusev and English, though. Although I will say both of them have proven themselves to be very competent wrestlers, especially Rusev, who is a very, very good wrestler. So they are a bit of a wild card, a bit of a question mark. I will grant you that, but I think they'll be able to acquit themselves well, especially since they're in the ring with a lot of other very good wrestlers. I think it'll be really good. I can see your point on the triple threat match, and I do think Bobby Roode being a bunch of triple threats in TNA does help him here. Mm-hmm. And I think Dolph Ziggler might, if this turns into, it's weird, because Dolph Ziggler's really good at overselling and doing a bit of spots and all that. But Baron Corbin and Bobby Roode kind of aren't. Like Bobby Roode used to be, but he's gotten a bit older, so he's kind of lost it a bit. And Baron Corbin, for me at least, just sucks full stop. So it's one of those weird things where it's like I could sort of see it working if they maybe just tweaked one of the competitors out a little bit, although I don't know who they do it with. So I don't know. I have my severe reservations for that match.
Although there may be a title change in this particular match.
I don't think they put it on Ziggler. They probably put it on Roode, which, I mean, I think he's pretty over. Is he over?
Yeah, he's over. Okay,
I mean, if you're going to put it on someone, at least put it on someone who's over and not, Baron Corbin. It sucks.
Although that does lead to the possibility of Nakamura versus Rude for the U.S. title.
I'm fine with that. I mean, at least do something with Nak. You know what I mean? But I feel like I feel like that match, highly doubt it'll be my cup of tea. Let's put it like that. It is very much not for me. I am predicting that very strongly.
Mhm.
And to answer your question of who I'd rather team with, Juice, Ziggler, or Callahan, by the very slightest of margins, it's Callahan, but that's mainly because I don't see a lot of him, so he hasn't annoyed me to the same extent Ziggler has.
Mhm.
So there you go.
Mhm.
And that's mainly because I've missed most of the World Tag League because of again, school and work and exams and all that. So
Mhm.
there you go.
So, Sal, question.
Yeah.
Are you ready for a lumberjack match for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship
No.
with Charlotte Flair versus Natalya,
No.
where the Riot Squad will possibly interfere in this match,
No.
and Carmella might possibly cash in during this match?
No.
Well then.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Like George, who's listening in on us right now. Hey, George, always good to have you here with us. You too, Zed. Thanks for keeping us active in the chat and making sure we're not just talking to ourselves here. And everyone else who's listening too, who hasn't been in the chat for any reason, whatever. But you know, that's cool. You do you. We just appreciate you guys coming and listening to us ramble on. But anyway, yeah, there was like George said, there isn't a lot of good lumberjack matches out there. I mean, I remember the first lumberjack match I ever saw was actually for the WWE's Women's Championship, the original one back at the 07 Mania 23. That was like the first wrestling show I ever saw. They called it a Lumber Jill match back then because, you know, Jack and Jill and all that. I guess that was one of those things of WWE thinking they're very clever, but really not being very clever. Anyway, besides the point, yeah, that match was not very good. Although in their defense, it did take place during sort of like the death of the women's division.
Mm-hmm.
Back when, you know, Johnny Ace was running it and he did not care about talent rather than looks.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of people blaming him for it, they decided to blame all the talent for it, which it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I mean, hey, I didn't exactly enjoy seeing them either, but it's not their fault that the division was shit. It's John Laurinaitis's. Blame him. He shouldn't have been hiring them.
Mm-hmm.
They were just trying to make some money and earn a living. Don't blame them, people.
Although, in fairness to Johnny Laryngitis, he did hire the Bella Twins.
Yes, that's like the one thing though. And even then, I'd argue it was more like them putting in the work than him hiring them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Nikki getting endued with the spirit of Mihara Wishu on wanting to Bella hammer everything that moves.
Yes. Nikki Bella just becoming the incarnate of Misawa was glorious. Mm-hmm. So, you know. I actually miss Nikki Bella. I don't think is she ever going to come back, or is her injury too bad? I think
she's going to come back on a part-time basis again.
Okay, I wouldn't be against that. You know, I don't like because I know she had the whole neck surgery thing, and you know, I don't want her coming back if it's going to mean she can't walk in 2 years or whatever, or 10 years. But you know what I mean. It'd be nice to see her.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm really not looking forward to this match, and it's mainly because. You know, I don't really care for Natalya. And I mean, Charlotte's gotten a lot better in ring, but you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, this match isn't my cup of tea. And a lot of it has to do with the step. I mean, I think that like the match in ring itself, if there was no lumberjacks, it would be fine. Like, would it be anything anyone would ever need to write home about? No, it would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
But the lumberjack step kind of just kills it. So
it's going to be, I think, really interesting to see if they advance any angles in this particular match. Obviously, we're going to have Charlotte defending her title against Natalya. The possibility of Charlotte winning this match is very high. The possibility of being cashed in by Carmella is medium, especially if the Riot Squad decides to interfere in this match. Because
I'll let you finish.
Continue.
Well, I was just going to say that's the interesting point because we have like... It seems like they're shaping up a whole Riot Squad versus rest of the women's division angle, right? Like that's what they're doing with like the Absolution on Raw and the Riot Squad on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Carmella, who has the Money in the Bank briefcase, who might try and cast in on Charlotte. And then if that does happen, which I don't know what will her alignment be?
Mm-hmm. Well, honestly, that's where Liv Morgan comes into play, I think. Mm-hmm. I mean, if she bribes her and X23 with items, like if she bribes Liv Morgan with pizza, then then there's a possibility that Carmella might actually usurp the Riot Squad from Ruby Riot eventually.
Jeez. I mean, I joked last night in the chat of Two Guys One Sports when they were talking about this, that maybe Carmella's going to turn out to be like a sleeper agent of the Riot Squad. But, who knows? That was mostly a joke anyway. WWE doesn't do sleeper agent stories. I feel like they should, though, because they'd be interesting.
I think that she is kind of a sleeper agent at this point, and if she becomes the Riot Squad's champion, their figurehead champion, it would be a very interesting story, because I think what they're going to do at this point is they're going to diverge the stories between the Raw and SmackDown women's divisions at this point. Absolution versus the Raw roster, and the Riot Squad versus the SmackDown roster. They might go in different directions for each of these stories.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, at the very least, the women's divisions are a lot deeper now, because, I mean, they were sort of running out of all the combinations they really could have done in matches. I mean, I don't blame any of the competitors for that. A lot of the stuff, and quite a few of them have done very well. It's just when you only have 6 women on each division, it's sort of, or about 6, I think. I mean, 6 is about all they focus on, really, but it's sort of hard to, like, do a lot of stuff, especially when you've had most of the same 6 for a year, just by sheer numbers and stuff, you're going to run out quick. But, and after that, any other thoughts on Charlotte for Natalya, Fizz? Or?
I think that this match will be fairly solid. It will be a fairly solid match. It will be an enjoyable match. I know a lot of people are dreading this match because of the Lumberjack stipulation, but I honestly feel that this will be a decent match.
Yeah. I just don't feel like it adds a lot to it, if that makes any sense. Like the concept of a Lumberjack match isn't bad. It's just most of the time it doesn't really add much. That's just me. And after that, we have what might be the main event, if it's not Randy Orton and Shinsuke against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And I really hope it is, at least for the WWE title. As much as I don't really care for Jinder Mahal, I don't want to see a McMahon involved in a main event in the year of our Lord 2017. Again, ego trips. I don't need them, but whatever. It is AJ Styles against Jinder Mahal with the Singh brothers, although I have no idea what's going on there. I thought he dumped them. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, yes, AJ Styles won the belt off Jinder. I'm hoping he retains. People were showing that Cena was the favorite, the very early favorite in the betting odds for the Rumble. And it has some people worried that this might mean Jinder might win the belt back. And because there's been rumors going around that it might be Jinder Cena for the title at Mania.
I doubt it.
I doubt it too. And honestly, I was talking to one of my buddies. I talk to one of my friends every now and then. He'll like call me and we'll talk for like 40 minutes about wrestling and all that. And he called me the other day and he's asking me, like, what do you think they're going to do for Mania for the WWE Championship? I said if I was booking SmackDown, I would go Cena wins the Rumble and AJ heads into Mania as champion. Mainly because that would be one of the best possible matches they could do with the roster they have on SmackDown, since, I mean, AJ Cena tore the house down at the Rumble the first time they had a match. And I feel like it would be a really good match to go into. Whether Cena wins his 17th from AJ or not, you know what? Let me spitball a little bit of fantasy booking for you here, Fizzy.
Okay.
Cena won the title off of AJ at the Royal Rumble to tie Ric Flair for all-time championships in WWE's world. Because, they ignore a few of Ric's championships, but whatever. Let's say, here's my idea for fantasy booking. It's going to be a sort of LIJ style thing with Naito. AJ goes in and faces Cena this year at Mania, and Cena wins again to win his 17th and surpass Ric Flair. Because we all know what's going to happen. They're not going to have AJ or Cena not surpass Flair. Then AJ goes into a bit of a slump because he always loses to John, the title to John at the biggest stage. And he can never win it. And that sets up the build for a SummerSlam rematch where AJ challenges John one more time and finally wins the title from him in the big one at SummerSlam. I mean, you could theoretically stretch it out to Mania if they wanted to, but I don't know how long John will be around, because he's had acting roles come in and he might not be around that long. So what I would do is I would have that be the main story leading into SummerSlam on the Blue Brand, with AJ winning the title off of John and finally conquering that demon of him for the WWE title against John.
I think that's an interesting idea, but I think I can do one better. Reverse the roles. John Cena's the one chasing for that 17th title, and he becomes the Naito.
I just wonder if it would work, mainly because he's already won it off AJ once. I think it could work theoretically. It's just... I wonder if WWE would want to do it at Mania.
It's sort of an actual Rocked Cena done the right way this time, where Cena loses at WrestleMania to AJ Styles. John goes into a bit of a slump, continuing to say that he still has it, and he just goes into this deep, dark place where he becomes basically like Naito. So watch as the company man becomes the anti-company man, John Cena.
I wouldn't mind that, just to see Cena go full-on Naito. That would be pretty cool.
I mean, I would love it if he won like the United States Championship, for instance, and started chucking the belt around.
That would be pretty great. Yeah. Oh, man.
I mean, because you got to know that he's been watching on his New Japan World account what Naito has been doing. And, I think John Cena could definitely pull that off.
Oh, no, I think John could pull it off, too. It would be a huge, drastic shift. And this kind of gets back to how WWE is sort of really corporate now. It's just, I wonder if WWE would ever go for it.
I think John would go for it because he's actually got creative control.
That is true. I mean, if there's anyone who could be allowed to do that, I'd be John, so... I actually like the idea. You've talked me into it. I feel like either one of those ideas would work really well, but, there you go. There's a bit of fancy booking for you. But,
John, if you want to use this idea, go right ahead.
Free of charge. Don't worry about it. AJ, same for you, man. Go for it. Oh, Vince, you want it? Take it. We don't care. All I ask in return is that you just, maybe you could put it in the tiniest of fine print. Just put it somewhere and then just send me a screenshot of it so I know you guys did it. That's all I ask for.
I don't even care for the screenshot. Just go ahead and do this weird, wacky idea of John Cena basically becoming the exact opposite of what he's been for the last decade or so.
Well, no, it was our idea. Well, we can at least claim it was our idea because I'm sure other people have pitched similar ideas, but still, it isn't a bad idea. Anyway, but back to Jinder AJ. I mean, AJ got a good match out of Jinder the last time those two fought for the WWE title. The time before they had a match, though, it wasn't very good. So, I mean, it all depends on how long this match is going to go. Because I feel like if you keep this around 15 minutes, like the match AJ won the title off Jinder, it'll be fine. It might even be pretty good. But, so it should not be going 20 minutes or longer.
So, backstory of this match. Originally, Jinder Mahal was the champion of champions, the ruler of all of SmackDown in his kingdom. Unfortunately for Jinder Mahal, he ran into the brick wall known as AJ Styles, and AJ Styles won the belt off of him on a random SmackDown because Brock Lesnar wasn't feeling like he wanted to eat India food that week. So instead, he had some nice, tasty hobo and pulverized and tenderized AJ Styles into dust at Survivor Series, proving that his beef jerky championship of champions in the universal world was superior to the WWE championship. So AJ now goes into this rematch with Jinder Mahal after having one so-so match and one very good match with Mahal. And Mahal hopefully has healed up a little bit because the thing that's dogged Jinder Mahal the most has been a shoulder issue all year. He pulled something in his shoulder. It's been bothering him for the last year, and he's had subpar matches because of that and because of the fact that he's a rather inexperienced worker compared to the rest of the people on the roster. I think he will have a really solid match with AJ Styles in this particular case. At least AJ is basically hoping and praying to his lucky stars that this is a good match with Jinder.
Yeah, I really, really hope like AJ just wins and then we're done with this. I mean, like I said, I don't want to seem unsympathetic to people who like Jinder because they get why they like him. But he is not good, and he has just been pushed way beyond his means.
I personally like Jinder Mahal. I think that it will be a solid match. I think what will happen is that the Singh brothers will most likely turn on Mahal, and will be led with Mahal versus the Singh brothers feud for a little bit before Jinder goes down to the mid card. AJ Styles, meanwhile, we really have no idea who's going to be challenging for the championship belt in the future.
I know. I mean, like I said, and I think we're both in agreement on this. We'd make it Cena AJ for the title at Mania, but that's like 4 or 5 months out.
And I don't predict title belts happening that far off. I usually go about month to month because you never know in the world of wrestling if things will change. That's why they have those in big red bold letters. The card is subject to change.
Yeah. Only for some reason they've been getting a bit smaller lately. I know what you're up to, WWE. Well, TNA especially, because they actually pulled that bull crap not too long ago. How long ago was it? Jeez, I think it was like 10 years ago now. Never mind. I think it was what, Sacrifice? When because they had like a Samoa Joe. Was it Sacrifice? It was one of their pay-per-views in 2007 where Joe and Angle were both in the title match, and Angle was hurt, and TNA knew he wouldn't be able to compete, and they didn't bother telling anybody until the pay-per-view had already started. But they covered their asses with the whole card is subject to change thing. So, you know, one of those shady moves people pull. But it's the wrestling business. It's a carny industry. It's why we both love and hate it.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm a little bit more. And to answer your question, Zed, I'm not really interested in getting money in this particular case because of the fact that when I do ideas like this, and there have been a few ideas that have been done on TV that I know of, it's more out of a fact that I myself am personally not interested in getting deep into this industry. Like, say, a lot of people that you hear on podcasts, they have aspirations for being on WWE's creative. I'm not one of those people.
I mean, here's the thing. If I was getting paid a crap ton of money to be on there, I wouldn't necessarily mind it. But at the same time, I would make sure I know damn well what the hell I'm getting into. And what the hell I'm getting into would likely be a pretty stressing nightmare.
I mean, let's look at the carcasses of the former WWE writers that have gone through the 7 levels of hell. I think the only one that's made it out of there okay is Greenfield.
Jimmy Jacobs just recently escaped. You know, I mean, on the one hand, here's what I'd try to do. I'd work there for like a year, make as much money off them as I can, and then I would just GTFO. I'm like, peace. I made my money, suckers. Now I can go through college debt free. I'm out.
And then there would be news reports of a man jumping with a parachute off of Titan Towers.
Yeah. Of course, it would be a golden parachute as I just get out. Escaping with a golden parachute. I'm just like one of those rich asshole CEOs off of Wall Street. My God, I've been commentating a lot about a bunch of social issues. Sorry, everybody. The net neutrality thing has kind of got me down, but there we go.
Although if I was Jinder Mahal, I would be looking at the head of the SEC and taking a ton of notes. I mean, he'd be disguised as one of those like intern nerd guys with the pocket projector and the shirt that's like 2 sizes too small and a name tag that says, "Hi, my name is Heath Slater." Also add nerd glasses. Just picture Jinder Mahal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he really should take notes off of what's that guy's name? Pai, I think is his.
Arjuna Pai.
Yeah, he should be taking notes off that guy because that guy got more heel heat than anybody in the history of ever. I think, really. I mean, he got it. Holy crap! I mean, yeah, it was not a good day to be Mr. Pai yesterday. I mean, a lot of it was self-inflicted, but I will say, as much as I hate the guy and everything he did in net neutrality, don't DDoS him, please.
Yeah, because it'll only make the situation worse, folks.
Or if you do DDoS him, don't threaten his family or him. I mean, just
it's
don't.
It's just the internet, kids.
Well,
I get that you love the internet, but at the same time, don't try to do anything that will cross this guy any further than it is. Let the courts do their thing first.
Yeah.
Like I said, due process. Keep with the due process. I know some of you don't want to do that, but okay, you know, that's just how it is in this very room.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to have faith in due process, but I feel like that we have so many issues with the American due process system. And my God, we're getting off topic on the wrestling again.
Obviously, this has been on Sal's mind for over the past
it really
week.
has, and I'm trying to like navigate this minefield because I'm trying not to piss anybody off so much right now. I mean, if it's wrestling or something, I don't care about pissing people off because that's a form of entertainment. Politics and shit like that affects people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying my best to just like steer clear of so many minefields, and I'm just like I avoid one, and then I'm like, holy crap, I'm driving right into another. You know, so it's like I try to like whenever I talk about politics and shit, I try not to let my emotions consume me too much. I mean, I will get emotional and I will get all up on it, and I will fight for what I believe in. But I at least try not to piss people off to the utmost extremes. I'm really not about that. That's not the kind of guy I am.
Mm-hmm.
So
this has been a preview of Clash of Champions, and we talked about the Rich Swann situation, and we talked a little bit about Final Battle, and we briefly talked about the Tag League. And next week, I guess we're going to be doing a show note, folks. Next week, we might have some technical issues next week because on the scheduling forefront and may have to reschedule this show, or we might be doing something else with one of our two affiliated friend podcasts, Two Guys, One Sport, or Shooting the Breeze.
Yeah, there might be a potential scheduling conflict for the show on Friday, so it might either get rescheduled to either Wednesday or Thursday, or it might not happen at all next week, and we'll just see you guys back after the holidays. In which case, if we do not see any of you guys back after the holidays, we here at Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling would like to wish you a happy Hanukkah, a Merry Christmas, a joyous Kwanzaa, a happy Saturnalia or Yule, or any other of the various holidays that happen around this time of year that you may or may not celebrate.
Mm-hmm. Yes. The glorious, glorious holiday season is going to be upon us next week as Christmas Eve and Christmas Day will be happening. Hanukkah started happening a couple days prior.
Yep.
So, yeah, holidays are upon us, folks. The last mad dashes of the Christmas holiday season, and if my co-host survives...
I'll be fine. I mean, like, the thing is, this next week isn't too bad, mainly because... like Monday, I just have to retake my final because Snow decided to reschedule it from Wednesday to Monday. So I have to take one more final, and then after that, it gets a bit easier. But work schedule will impact Friday. So yeah, sadly, I'm pretty free except for the one day it really impacts me.
Mm-hmm. And if you folks need something calm and relaxing to watch, go watch Aleister Black versus the walking cure for insomnia himself, Adam Cole, baby. This week on NXT.
Yeah, I did actually see some of that, but before we do get out of here, we need to get some plugs. But before we do that, I just want to go down the card really quick and just ask who you think's going to win each match.
Okay, for the Clash of Champions?
Yep.
Okay, see
Raleigh
here.
or Ryder? Raleigh or Ryder?
Raleigh's going to maul Zack Ryder to death. AJ Styles is going to retain against Jinder Mahal. Bobby Roode will possibly win against Baron Corbin and Ziggy. Charlotte Flair is retaining against Natalya, but there might possibly be a cash-in. The Usos will possibly retain, or they might have a surprise new tag champs during this whole Fatal 4-Way match, although they might not have the Usos lose in their first defense. Orton Nakamura versus Kevin Owens and Zayn. I think it will be Owens and Zayn, and either McMahon or Bryan is going to turn. And the Bludgeon Brothers are going to turn Fandango and Tyler Breeze into pinatas.
I'm pretty much in agreement with all of this. I see Raleigh over Ryder, AJ over Mahal, Roode over Corbin and Ziggler. I think Charlotte will retain. Yeah, no, she'll retain. I think Carmella will cash in. I'm calling my shot with that one. I'm taking the Usos. Owens and Zayn are obviously winning. And yeah, Bludgeon Brothers. So that's the end of our recap. We just wanted to make sure we get our predictions in. So if we're terribly, terribly wrong, you can all yell at us on the next broadcast, whenever that is.
So we'll either see you next week or in 2 weeks for the next edition of Wacky World of Wrestling. And our plugs this week: 2 Guys, 1 Sport with Crazy Chris 576 and GT at Saves. Those 2 guys just did their 40th episode last night. Episode 41 is coming this next week. And we also have Shooting the Breeze, which will be airing tomorrow at about 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern. So 2 Guys, 1 Sport airs at 9 p.m. on Thursdays. They're on Thursdays. We are currently on Fridays at their old time slot of 9 p.m. Eastern, of 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep.
And Shooting the Breeze, as I said, is on at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturdays.
Yep. And like I said last night, when they accused us so maliciously of being evil for stealing their time slot, playfully, I know, but still, we didn't want it to go cold, guys. I mean, come on. It was going to go cold if we didn't take it over. We wanted to keep the time slot nice and warm, so we decided, hey, we can take it over. Plus, it opens us up to having more potential guest hosts on, since not a lot of people are really free on Friday afternoons around 1. Oddly enough, they really need to fix that about themselves, but there you go. So, but anyway, this has been episode 38 of Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. You can follow me at Cusmano_Sal.
And you can follow me at Fizzpatrick14. And wow, we did a reversal episode there. We did a reversal there. That's awesome. And we'll see you either next week or in 2 weeks, whenever the schedule happens. So see you, folks.
See ya. Have a happy holidays if we don't see you next week. And, just keep it real, I guess.
Have happy holidays, folks. And also reminder, the Shroud Nation of India is now under Triple H's control. He won against Jinder Mahal at the India Tour. So now Triple H expands his mighty empire to invest all the world. Today, India, tomorrow, the world. And with that joyous cause of a celebration, we bid you adieu. Bye, folks.
Bye, guys.